Hi friends, David here from Above AVL, and today we're going to start out with a little bit of a horror story. What would happen in your situation in audio if a single piece of gear in your system died, stopped working, wouldn't start up, right? What will you do to pull together either the service, the event, or anything else you're doing and make it happen? That's what we want to talk about in this video. So, in audio systems specifically, there are a lot of single points of failure, right? Like, if you think about it, actually, we'll just zoom out a little bit here. There's a lot of single points of failure, right? Like, essentially, you've got microphones coming into your mixing console. Okay, cool. Multiple microphones from multiple sources. You've got multiple cables. That's all good. But then you've got one mixing console, right? You come out over a few cables to, your subs, your main speakers, right? And you might have two of those main speakers, but you kind of need them both, right? You might have monitors, or maybe you're on in-ears. You might have amplifiers or DSPs, all right? Those are all places where, you might only have one or two running your whole system. And what would you do if everything fell apart? Okay, that here today in this video is what I want to encourage you to think about and to have a solid backup plan. Okay, ultimately, the best backup plan is going to be one where nobody can tell you had to go to it. But let's be real here. In a lot of situations, you're not going to have that capability budgetarily to know what to do. So, what can you do to prepare for gear failures when the worst thing can happen? The first thing, again, is to really think through okay, if said piece of gear died, like we walked into power it on a Sunday morning if it's a church or for an event, we're a couple hours to the event and boom, nothing works, right? It won't power on. What can we do, right? Obviously, if you have rental companies that you have a great relationship in your area with, you could call them, call in a special favor, get something on a Sunday, but even that is pushing close to time. So you want to think about okay, if I can't get an exact replacement, what can I mix in? Do I have a small analog console, an older console, a console in a secondary space that I can go and steal and put in the primary space so that we can make that event happen, right? When you're thinking about this, get to know your system and how it's set up. Okay. For example, say you're going from your console to your speakers over a digital connection, whether that be AES or Dante. Does your backup plan have a way for you to get that signal to that device? Okay. Because if you're going from a digital to an analog console, you're going to have analog outputs. If you're not inputting analog in your DSP or your amplifiers, then you either need a way to have those analog inputs set up and ready to go should you need them, or a way to send to them digitally. The same goes with things like system processors or amplifiers. Do you have a spare? Even if you have 4 or 5 amps, is there a spare or is there something less critical where you could remove an amp, switch it out, flash some configuration? Having a plan ahead of time is going to make it so that when those moments happen, you know what to do and you're not scrambling and you have your files backed up and you're able to get to them. And so the biggest thing I think in audio systems is you really want to think about okay, if this speaker goes, where can I get something that can do its part or can I do without it, right? If this sub goes, if this main speaker goes, if amplifiers go, right? Where within my facility or within my inventory or from friends, that's going to be the last one, can I get that replacement and get it into place fast? If it's not on site where you are, then if you only have a few hours to an event, you might not be able to get it in on time. And so the first part is like, hey, where can you physically get the gear? The second part is, okay, how can I have that gear pre-set up or know what I need to set it up to make it work? And last but not least, I mean, the worst case scenario is okay, if you don't have the ability to have a backup console or a console that's in another space that you can go take that will get the job done, if you don't have the ability to have backup amps, configuration, etc., then think to yourself, I mean, just like literally, like if you ever do events for political figures, like for the White House AV or anybody like that, they make you go and have, some speakers on stands and a wired microphone. Okay. Because at the end of the day, if you've got those available to you, even in a very large space, you can often get spoken word to the majority of those people clearly enough. Okay. And so, yes, planning for single pieces of gear, making sure you have something you can slam into place and replace it is great. Sometimes it's not possible. Like, especially with DSPs, if you're in a larger venue, it's like, hey, if that DSP takes a complete dive, you have no backup plan. Like, you don't, cost wise, it often doesn't make sense to have a backup. Sure, replacing it before replacement is due could be a great idea. Okay. But if lightning strikes and that piece of gear is affected and nothing else, then you're going to be stuck, right? At which point you go, okay, do I have something that I could put in its place? Do I have a small PA system? Can I bypass it for the main speakers, and still have everything crossed over and processed at least partially so that it's safe for the speakers? These are the things you really want to think about in audio because it's not a question of if, as I say a lot, it's a question of when, right? They're things that people consider surprises usually are involve in gear dying or gear failing you. And let me tell you, no piece of gear lasts forever. So you want to be ready for this stuff. If that sounds good and you're like, hey, you know what? That's a good idea. Thanks a lot. Then that's the kind of thing you want to be thinking through. And we appreciate you watching us today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you guys in our next video. And when you do need new gear, head over to aboveavl.com. We'd love to help you find exactly what you need: audio, video, lighting, get it into your hands at that personalized price, and build a relationship with you to help you get the awesome gear that you need. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.